the community we serve, our students are 90% Black. We have a very, very strong Black presence, Black heritage, Black culture. Now, Black people know there's still a lot of diversity within that. You know, our students hail from the Caribbean. We have a strong Caribbean presence and culture in our school from every island that you could think of. You know, a lot of our students come direct. They are direct African descendants. I've taught many of those scholars. In addition, an Afro-Latino community as well that we have that's strong here. So, you know, that's not to say that our community is not diverse. I think that's a common misconception, but we have a very strong Black culture here with 90% of our student body being of African descent. Most of the remaining scholars here are of Latino descent. So our school is pretty much all Black and brown. I say that to say that a trip like this is very literally a chance for students to go to their ancestral homeland. So it just has that extra layer of meaning, you know, to it. And I can't wait to see how our scholars how they see themselves differently, you know, when they get what they get.
I've never been to Ghana, but everyone that I know that has, life-changing, life-changing.
Changed, yeah. Redefined.
Completely transformed from, you know, just visiting that one country in Africa. Yeah. So you talked about 15, I believe you said there's 15 slots available. Can you share how a student becomes eligible to participate? What do they have to do, the steps, and how are they selected?
So it's a pretty open thing. So we do have a student eligibility process. It's something that happens every month that students can remain eligible for participation in programs. And the majority of the students are eligible for things most of the time. But basically, there's an application that students complete. That application is reviewed by, I like to call us our travel board. So, of course, the administration has final say about what happens. You know, this is a department. We're a DOE school. We're a public high school. We have to run like every other public high school. We have to follow the same kind of rules, right? And we're all under the chancellor's regs and everything. So it's administrative review. You know, students are all free to apply. And generally, the students who are of good standing, and that includes the academics, that includes attendance, just young people who not only are going to represent themselves in the school well, but they're also open, they're also receptive. They have that kind of curious and venturesome spirit, you know. So there's that. And then there's also, we run a travel club. So once I start up, and we just started up, we meet every week between, you know, when our travel club begins and when we eventually go to our destination. So that's also kind of the testing ground a little bit where students get to come and learn. We started learning a little bit about Ghanaian culture and history Tuesday of this week. And then those students who demonstrate the most interest, that's part of it too. And so students who apply, and then there is registration. We do charge students a small amount for the trips. This is, again, just about building that bridge. So we could do it the standard way that most schools do and just break down the payment plan and have parents pay for, I don't know, a year and a half or 2 years before, and then even very expensive trips can happen. But then what we actually do is we take the actual cost of the travel and we have students contribute it's usually about 15% of that. Okay. So it might be, what were the exact numbers for? I'm sorry, I should have looked at these exact numbers, but it always works out to about 15% or so. So it becomes way, 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 you know, cheaper than it would ever possibly be. But then at the same time, they still have to figure out, our students still have to figure out how to work that part out. Their families will figure that part out. And even that too is something that we sometimes will work things out with families if there's a family that has a particular need. My mother-in-law loves to sponsor our passports, you know, and I just made another contact with someone the other day from another organization who might do passport sponsorship. So we have ways of working it all out. So that a trip that normally would cost $3,000 or $4,000, so the family is paying it maybe $600, $700 for that, you know, that same exact trip. And there's a lot of it that the school will cover for free. A lot of the local travel and things like that are just handled. So with this particular trip, there's an overnight Washington, D.C. journey that's taking place. This is part of a college tour, and we'll also be visiting the National Museum of African American History and Culture. I'm really psyched to go back there. I haven't been in a couple of years. That is another example of something that the school just covers. We just pay for it. My principal is excellent at forming partnerships and finding money. I don't even know where she finds it, but she finds it. And there's so much that our kids are able to do free of charge. They generally don't have to pay for anything. Something like this, we haven't
I
paid
hate to interrupt. Is the trip to DC connected to the trip to Ghana, or is that separate?
Yeah, it's connected. I'll say more.
Okay.
So, excuse me. So the way that I like to think of it as a program too. And I also try to be very watchful of my language and not just refer to it as a trip, because it really is a full program. So there's a roughly 6-month period for the whole process. And about 3 months of that, our students are doing local and domestic travel. So they'll be going to places like the Apollo Theater, like the Weeksville Heritage Center, like the Schomburg, right? Like the African Burial Ground in downtown Manhattan, places that they've ridden on a train past at some point, or even if they haven't, they're right there within reach. And going to these sites is about enriching our students' understanding of relationship to their African heritage. So we're setting the ground, we're laying the groundwork for when we do have our full Ghana experience. There's this step and that step and that step that has taken place previously that has prepared our students to really get the most out of the 10 days that they'll spend abroad. So yeah, the Washington, D.C. trip is a part of the whole thing.
Okay. So it's really anyone who is in good standing and
first come, first serve.
First come. When you say first come, first serve, you mean first come with the 15% or first come with the application? Just want to.
Both. Well, application and deposit. We do. I mean, it's kind of like what you would expect with anything. It'll be a deposit that's required. It'll usually be maybe like a $95 deposit. That's what it is for most of our trips. Where that actually is a significant thing for some families, but that's enough of a commitment, and then we'll come through and we'll start making up the rest.
So this year it was Ghana. In 2025, it will be Panama. If you missed our entire interview, I will be sure to link it at the end of this video. But it's the season of giving, and I wanted to highlight one of my absolute favorite fundraising platforms. Frederick Douglass Academy 7 is a public high school in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and they believe that children in underserved communities must not be hindered from receiving the best educational opportunities. The school's travel club sponsors amazing students, providing them with life-altering learning outside of the United States, with the world as their classroom. It is a transformational experience, so dear to my heart. I will leave additional details in the description, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thanks for watching. You can watch the entire video here and support Brownsville Abroad.